Robert Wagner has been named a person of interest in the death of his wife, legendary actress Natalie Wood. Robert Wagner has been Hollywood royalty for over 70 years. He's survived scandals, 3 marriages, and countless controversies. But there's one topic he absolutely refuses to discuss: his daughter. Even after decades of interviews, the 95-year-old actor goes completely silent whenever she's mentioned. In 2012, something happened that changed everything. Police were involved. There were drugs found. Wagner paid bail money and disappeared from public view. What exactly happened? And why won't he talk about it even now? Robert Wagner was born on February 10, 1930, in Detroit, Michigan. It was the middle of the Great Depression, and life was hard for almost every family. His father, Robert Wagner Sr., worked as a traveling salesman for Ford and made about $5,000 a year. That sounds like a lot, but it wasn't enough back then, especially when so many people were losing their jobs. His mother, Hazel, had once worked as a telephone operator before she got married. Both of them came from modest backgrounds, and money problems were always in the air. By the time Robert was 7, the family had moved 5 different times. The apartments were small and cramped, and the stress inside the home only kept building. Sometimes things got so bad that young Robert would hide under his bed just to avoid the shouting. He never forgot a fight in 1935 when it almost turned violent. Even at that age, he knew he didn't want to grow up in poverty. He wanted to escape. In 1937, his family made a bold move. They packed everything and left Detroit behind, heading west to California, chasing better air for his mother's asthma and maybe a better future for all of them. When they arrived in Bear, things began to shift. His father's job started to pay a little better, almost $7,500 a year now, and Robert got into a fancy school called the Harvard School for Boys. The tuition there was high, $1,200 per semester, but his parents somehow managed it. Robert wasn't great at studying, but he was strong in sports. He especially loved golf. By the time he was 10, he was scoring under 80 on the course and dreamed of going professional like his hero, Sam Snead. That dream stuck with him for years. In fact, in 1945, when he was just 15, he was competing in amateur tournaments. He had a handicap of 14 and even beat some real professionals during exhibitions. But something unexpected happened while working as a caddy at the Bear Country Club. He started meeting movie stars. He carried golf bags for men like Clark Gable, Randolph Scott, and Fred Astaire. One day in 1944, Clark Gable tipped him $5 and gave him advice that stuck: keep your feet on the ground. That was the first time Robert thought seriously about acting. Golf took a back seat. School never got easier. Between 1942 and 1947, Robert was expelled from 4 different military academies. At Black Fox Military Institute, he was kicked out after organizing a prank that caused $500 in damage. That would be over $8,000 today. He also got into fights, skipped class, and broke curfews. At St. Monica's in 1947, he was caught sneaking out to attend Hollywood parties. Even though he was acting wild, deep down he was just a teenager struggling to find his place. He once admitted that strict rules clashed with his free spirit, and he used humor and charm to cope. To support himself, he took on any job he could. He returned to caddying in 1943, earning just $1 per round. But by the summer months, he could make about $200 a month. In 1944, he carried Clark Gable's clubs again and listened in on conversations about movie scripts. That's when the dream of becoming a movie star started to feel real. He also groomed horses for the rich at the Bear stables, washed dishes at a local cafe for 50 cents an hour, and even worked for his father at a steel plant. That last job drained him emotionally. It pushed him to try even harder to break into Hollywood. Then came the moment everything changed. In 1950, when he was just 20 years old, he was caddying again when an agent named Henry Wilson noticed him. That same year, he got his first movie role in a film called The Happy Years. It was just a small part, and he only earned $75. But he was on set with real actors, saying real lines, and he loved every second. He had no training, just guts and charm. That same year, Hollywood was producing over 60 films, and somehow, Robert Wagner had squeezed his way in. His next role was in The Frogman in 1951. This time, he played a Navy officer, and it was his first official credit. The movie was based on real underwater demolition teams. It made over $2 million and cost less than half that to make. But behind the scenes, things weren't easy. During a diving scene, Wagner nearly drowned and had to be rescued by his co-star, Jeffrey Hunter. He earned $500 for that role and lost 10 pounds during training with real Navy. He was terrified on set and threw up before his first scene, but critics loved his performance. Later that year, he got a part in Halls of Montezuma, a war movie shot with real Marines and real combat footage. Released in January 1951, it was filmed during a time when many actors were getting drafted. But Wagner stayed out of the draft because he was under contract, a common trick in Hollywood back then. He faked a limp in his audition, still healing from a skiing accident, and got the role. He earned $750 and made a strong impression by improvising lines during intense battle scenes. He kept climbing. In 1952, he played a soldier with PTSD in With a Song in My Heart. He visited VA hospitals to understand the role and saw firsthand what real trauma looked like. The experience moved him deeply. He earned $1,000, and veterans sent him hundreds of letters thanking him for portraying their pain with honesty. That same year, he joined Stars and Stripes forever. But not everything went smoothly. He couldn't play any instruments, so he faked it, and when musicians made fun of him, it ended in a fistfight that almost got him fired. Still, the movie did well and taught him how to work under pressure. By 1954, Wagner had finally hit the big time. In Broken Lance, he played the son of Spencer Tracy, and the set was filled with tension. It was filmed in Arizona's heat, and at one point, temperatures hit Wagner even collapsed from the heat. He fought with co-stars, clashed with the director, and rumors spread that a real fistfight broke out during rehearsals. But the movie was a hit. It earned nearly $4 million and won Wagner a Golden Globe nomination. Southern states banned the film because of its take on interracial marriage, but the controversy only made it more popular. Behind the scenes, Spencer Tracy mentored him in brutal ways, once even slapping him during a scene to draw out real emotion. It worked, and Wagner never forgot it. Then came A Kiss Before Dying in 1956. Wagner played a cold-blooded killer. It was nothing like anything he had done before. During one scene, his co-star Joanne Woodward fell 20 feet due to a harness failure. She sprained her ankle and filming stopped for 3 days. Wagner had studied serial killers to get the role right. He read about Charles Starkweather and mimicked their tics. Test audiences hated the character so much that a graphic murder scene had to be cut. His affair with Virginia Leith became public. The film still made $2.2 million, but it haunted him for months. The same year, he filmed The Mountain, in the French Alps. He performed his own stunts at 14,000 feet, without nets. One day, an avalanche buried part of the set. Wagner was trapped under snow for 45 minutes and got frostbite on his hands. Crew members were hospitalized. He later sued Paramount and won $50,000. He also watched Spencer Tracy spiral into drunken rages. Once punching a stunt double, the movie made $3 million, but it was remembered more for the accidents than the acting. In Between Heaven and Hell. Also, in 1956, Wagner dug into the trauma of war. He lived in real foxholes in Hawaii to prepare. A live ammo accident injured 5 extras and left Wagner's arm bloodied by shrapnel. The MPAA cut 8 minutes of real combat footage to avoid an X rating. Offset, he clashed with Brick Crawford over politics. Crawford's outbursts turned violent. Wagner's jaw was bruised. The film was banned in Japan, but still made $2.5 million. Wagner donated part of his earnings to veterans. His 1957 film, The True Story of Jesse James, brought new danger. While filming in Colorado, a horse stampede fractured his rib. He fired antique guns that backfired and burned his hand. The pain was real. The family of Jesse James sued over how the story was told. They settled out of court for $75,000. Wagner nearly lost future roles because of how well he played the outlaw. He later admitted the nightmares never really stopped. In 1960, he starred in a melodrama called All the Fine Young Cannibals, playing a brooding jazz musician named Chad Bixby. His co-star was Natalie Wood, who wasn't just playing his lover, she had been one in real life. They'd already married once, back on December 28, 1957, but things had cooled off. Working together on this film brought those old feelings right back. And after years of drifting apart, they remarried in 1972. In 1962, Wagner flew into danger with the war lover. He wasn't just acting, the B-17 bombers they used were real. One scene over the English Channel nearly ended in disaster. High winds hit a plane during a stunt. A crew member had to jump. He drowned and the studio covered it up. Wagner later said he feared for his life. McQueen's offset racing didn't help either. It all added chaos. The film barely made half its budget, earning just $1.2 million. Even though it tried to capture the pain and thrill of war. Then came a shift in tone in 1963. With The Pink Panther, Wagner played George Litton, a smooth operator again, but this time with laughs. He ad-libbed scenes so well that Peter Sellers broke character over and over, costing extra days and $50,000. One skiing accident almost made Wagner quit, but director Blake Edwards rewrote the script to keep him in. He only earned $75,000 while Sellers took home more. But Wagner's comedic chops stood out. That gorilla suit chase, the bedroom farce, all became legend. Just before It Takes a Thief took off, Wagner starred in How I Spent My Summer Vacation in 1967. It aired right at the start of the new year and felt like a dry run for his spy roles. Shot in Paris with a budget of $750,000, it had a near-drowning stunt that gave Wagner pneumonia, but that same intensity got him an Emmy nomination. Jill, John co-starred, and their chemistry hinted at their future together. The film drew 30 million viewers, even though the censors cut parts for being too brutal. In 1968, Robert Wagner took a leap that surprised everyone. After years in film, he jumped into television with It Takes a Thief. He played Alexander Mundy, a charming cat burglar forced to work for a secret agency. It wasn't just another spy show, felt real. Wagner actually learned lockpicking from experts and talked to real spies. The gadgets were slick, but the Cold War undertones made it hit differently. The pilot cost $500,000, a huge amount back then, but it worked. By the end of the first season, 25 million people were tuning in. His charm was magnetic. Even co-star Malachi Throne once said, "The fake jewel heist pranks almost got their insurance canceled." Wagner got a Golden Globe nomination in 1969, but this role also boxed him in. For years, everyone saw him as the suave rogue. In 1972, Wagner found himself in freezing Scottish waters while filming Madame Sin. Betty Davis, ever the diva, mentored him through it, though she once spiked his tea with brandy just to make a scene pop. During one shoot on March 15, the temperature dropped to 40. Wagner got hypothermia, and a helicopter crash later injured 3 crew members. The film still made $4 million worldwide. Davis insisted on 17 costume changes, and Wagner never forgot the chaos she brought with her. 2 years later, in 1974, Wagner was dangling from a burning skyscraper in the towering inferno. He did his own stunts and ended up with singed eyebrows after a pyrotechnic misfire. He was hospitalized on December 12 that year, but the film ended up earning over $116 million. The fires reached 2,000. Equipment melted. Extras panicked. Wagner admitted the fear was real. This wasn't acting, it was survival. In 1975, Wagner returned to television with Switch. He played Pete Ryan, a fast-talking conman turned detective. He and Eddie Albert were constantly pranking each other. One joke went to Farrah, fake bomb prop went off early and burned Wagner's hair. Ratings still soared, hitting 25 million at their peak. He brought gadgets and real undercover cop interviews into his performance. But behind the scenes, there were censored scenes, romances with guest stars, and rising chaos. By 1978, viewership dropped and CBS pulled the plug. Then came the role most people remember. In 1979, Heart to Heart launched Wagner into global stardom again. He played Jonathan Hart, a millionaire with a flair for solving crimes. The production didn't cut corners, they used a real $10 million jet and drove Mercedes with plates that read 2 hearts. Over 5 years and 110 episodes, the show reached 87 countries. But ABC wanted drama, they pushed for infidelity and fights. Wagner and Stephanie Powers pushed back. They wanted romance, not scandal. Behind the scenes, Powers did her own makeup, and Wagner joked that he spent hours with his face in her hair during long love scenes. In 1983, Wagner returned to the world of the Pink Panther for Curse of the Pink Panther. It was a tribute to Peter Sellers, who had died in 1980. Wagner ad-libbed jokes to honor him, including one that mimicked clap, but the film flopped, making just $4.5 million. It was David Niven's final appearance before his death on July 29, 1983. The film's poor reception stalled the franchise for a decade. In 1985, Wagner starred in Lime Street, but tragedy hit hard. Samantha Smith, his young co-star and a peace activist, died in a plane crash on August 25. The series aired just 5 episodes before being canceled despite strong ratings. Wagner, shaken, later described an eerie feeling on set he couldn't explain. In 1988, Wagner embraced his darker side in Windmills of the Gods, diving into Cold War espionage. He played Mike Slade, a mysterious diplomat wrapped in real 1980s tension. He researched KGB methods, declassified files, and studied secret societies. His scenes felt ripped from headlines. The miniseries aired in 2 parts, in February 28 and March 2, drawing 20 million viewers. Then in 1990, Wagner became a Disney villain. In The Rescuers Down Under, he voiced Mick Leach, a terrifying poacher. He recorded his lines alone to create the right kind of madness. He studied real poaching stories from the Australian outback. His voice chilled kids. The movie cost $27 million and earned $47 million, but it was overshadowed by Home Alone. Wagner's performance was unforgettable. In 1997, Wagner's career was revived once more, this time through parody. In Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, he played number 2. His line, "I like to live dangerously," went viral in early internet forums. At 67, he'd become cool again. Mike Myers cast him personally, and that eye patch was a nod to Wagner's war movie days. By 1999, Wagner played a sleazy boxing promoter in Play It to the Bone opposite Woody Harrelson and Antonio Banderas. He shot all his scenes in just 3 days in Las Vegas. The film bombed hard, earning only $8.4 million against a $24 million budget. But Wagner, as always, made his mark. In 2002's Austin Powers and Gold member Wagner returned once more as number 2. He was now 72, but still sharp, improvising scenes and pushing the story forward. The film made nearly $300 million. His prop eye patch became iconic, and behind the scenes, he shared that the laser shark idea came from real endangered species lists from the 1990s. Then came NCIS from 2010 to 2019. Wagner played Anthony DiNozzo Sr., a charming father figure with layers. The role was personal. He pulled from memories of his own upbringing in 1930s Detroit. He shared genuine warmth with Michael Weatherly, who played his on-screen son. Wagner was 80 when he first appeared, and by the time he wrapped up, he'd become a fan favorite once more. And even in 2020, at age 90, Robert Wagner wasn't done. He showed up in The Swing of Things, a raunchy comedy filmed during the COVID lockdown. He rehearsed virtually to stay safe. His scene lasted minutes, but the impact was there. He still had that spark. Meanwhile, Robert Wagner first met Natalie Wood in 1956. He was 26 and she was just 18. They fell for each other fast. On December 28, 1957, they got married in Arizona. Everyone thought they were a perfect Hollywood couple. But 5 years later, in 1962, they divorced. People said Natalie had caught Robert with another man. Their love story was shattered. But that wasn't the end. On July 16, 1972, they remarried on a yacht. They had a daughter, Courtney, born on March 9, 1974. It looked like a second chance. But then came November 29, 1981. Natalie drowned off Catalina Island. That night, there had been a fight on the boat. Robert, Natalie, and actor Christopher Walken were all there. Some said Robert was jealous. Some said he lost control. No one knows for sure what happened in those final hours. But Natalie never came back. After she died, Robert